Hello you guys, and welcome to another video. Today I am going to be thrifting and flipping furniture to resell for profit on Facebook Marketplace. If you're new here, I'm Sarah. I live in the Pacific Northwest and I love all things thrifting and home decor. If you like those things too, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. For the majority of this video, I'm going to show you how I fix up these items using regular household items. If you've ever been interested in flipping furniture, you really don't have to have a lot of supplies. It can be very, very simple. So I'm going to show you kind of the products that I use to make these simple flips as easy as possible. Let's go see what I found and then come back with me while I fix them up. The first item I found was this set of 4 oak dining chairs in a mid-century modern style. I can't find any exact comps online, but they appear to be vintage and worth anywhere from $100 to $150 a piece. The next item that came home with me was this pair of wooden and leather nightstands. Based on my research, these are mid-20th century leather-topped nightstands in a federal style, worth around $1,500 for the pair. So I'm going to see if I can spruce these up a bit to make them look a little bit prettier. They are in a bit of rough condition, but I'm definitely going to be able to make a profit on these. The last item I bought was this amazing arched bookcase made of bamboo and rattan. When I researched it, it appears to be a mid-century French bamboo etagere worth over $450, and I paid just over $45. The first item I'm going to be fixing up really doesn't need any fixing at all. It's this shelving unit right here. I absolutely love this and I feel so lucky that I found it. I can't believe that it was also discounted because that means it had been there for a while. Now, I just noticed that I think it's actually missing a shelf here. I think it originally had a shelf right here. Now, I don't mind it and I don't think it's that big of a deal that that shelf is missing, because what this allows us to do is style the top shelf with taller items and then reserve the bottom shelves for shorter items like books or bowls or small vases or decorative boxes. This piece is going to be really hard for me to give up because I have always wanted shelving in this room around the fireplace. When we first moved in, I thought, I really want to build bookcases around our fireplace to create sort of a library look. And it was just not in the cards. It hasn't been so far because there have been more important things to spend our money on. So we haven't gotten around to doing that. And I always kind of kept in the back of my mind that a tall cabinet or a tall bookcase could look really cool on the right side of the fireplace, because I am really happy with how I styled the left side of the fireplace, and that would just add balance to both sides. So I might actually have to keep this in this room until I sell it, and I'm definitely going to try to sell it for top dollar to start, because like I said, I only spent $47 on it, so I can wait and hold out for a price that I feel good about selling this for. The first and most obvious step is going to be removing this price tag. Then I'm just going to take one of my little Swiffer rags that I use for my Swiffer duster and get into all of these little nooks and crannies, getting all of the dust out. It's very important, if you want things to look new, to dust it and clean it as thoroughly as possible. The next step is going to be using just a gentle home cleansing spray. I like to use Thieves because it's all natural, and I'm just gonna spray the whole shelf and wipe it down. Again, this is gonna disinfect it as well as get any remaining gunk off of there. One of the shelves had a bit of a rougher surface on it. It wasn't as smooth, so it was picking up little bits of my paper towels. So now I'm just going through with a damp rag to get those little bits of paper towel off. This next part is totally optional, but because I have these on hand, I'm going to add a felt pad to the bottom of each foot of the bookcase. I have this huge variety pack of felt pads, but I think these little round ones are going to be the perfect size for my needs today. I am so happy with how this is looking, and just knowing that it is super clean and has those new felt pads makes me feel better about selling it for a profit. Next, I'm going to style the shelf and take some pictures. I might not even use the styled photos for my listing, but I can't resist a fun decorating moment, and I wanted to give you guys the satisfaction that I needed to see this shelf living up to its full potential. That was fun, and I feel myself getting attached, so let's move on to my next project. Next, I am going to be tackling these nightstands, which when I saw them at the thrift store, I knew immediately that I wanted to buy them because, first of all, they were only $10 each. They're pretty scuffed up and they do look very vintage and old, but in a good way. So it's rare that I see nightstands in pairs at a thrift store for such a reasonable price, unless they're like those super like outdated 80s or early 90s style. So I knew I had to get them, and I would at least be able to sell them for $20 each, but I know I can get at least $50 each if I spruce them up, and then depending on how they turn out, I might even be able to sell them for $100 each. I looked them up and it was hard to find some comps. I did find some though that look like the exact same ones that go for anywhere from $750 for a pair to $1,500 for a pair. So I know I'm not going to be able to get that much for them on Facebook Marketplace because I do not sell on places like eBay, Cherish, or First Dibs. So we will fix them up and see how we do. And either way, it's going to be a great return on my investment because, again, they were only $10 each. Here's a closer look at the condition of these nightstands. You can tell they're really dinged up around the edges. There's some scratches on the top of the leather, and they just need a good clean. So as with the bookcase, my first step is going to be removing the price tags and then spraying everything down and wiping it off with thieves. This probably goes without saying, but cleaning everything first really sets the stage for any fixes that you have to do later on, whether you're gonna sand and stain or paint or repair anything. So that's why it's so important to clean everything really well so you get all of that extra gunk off. I probably should have been working on this one outside to begin with, but now that I'm gonna start sanding and staining, I'm definitely gonna move off my new living room rug and bring these guys outside to finish them up. So I actually read that using Vaseline on scratches on leather can actually help conceal them or camouflage them, which I'm really hoping that works because I actually don't have any other sort of leather conditioner or leather repair, and I don't want to have to go to the store to get something. So I'm going to at least try using Vaseline on some of these scratches, but some of them are pretty deep, so we'll see how it goes. I'm going to use a clean, dry paper towel to get out some of this product, and then I'm just going to start wiping it on the scratched up areas and see if anything happens. I can already tell a difference here that it is working on some of these shallower scratches, so I'm hoping it's also going to work on the deeper scratches. Let's move on to the second nightstand, which does have a lot more damage on the front. Look how deep this scratch is. And then there's also some sort of little burn mark or something over here. So I'm just gonna kind of wipe off the whole surface and see what happens. This one is nearly repaired. I can't believe it. I need to wipe off the excess, but I'm gonna let that Vaseline soak in just a little bit more. This one, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to repair it because the scratch is like all the way through. It's not just on the surface of the leather, but it's like all the way through to whatever is underneath the leather. So I'm really not sure if this one's going to be salvageable, but I did try, and I'm going to leave that on just a little bit longer and see what happens. I'm now using a really fine sandpaper to just gently buff out the edges of each of these nightstands. As you saw in the close-ups, they're really dinged up, but I also don't want to go too deep with the sandpaper because I'm not sure exactly how solid the wood is. Now I'm going to take a stain pen. It's kind of like a paint pen, but it has a mahogany colored wood stain on it. So I'm hoping the color matches and that it really helps disguise some of these scuff marks. This is the first time I've ever used a wood stain pen, so I'm realizing it's a lot like applying a normal wood stain where you first apply it, but then you want to wipe off the excess to kind of smooth it out and help camouflage those streaks. So here's what they look like now that the stain is dry, and then this is a glimpse at the top. I'm really happy with how well the Vaseline worked to buff out a lot of those scratches. There are a lot of loud sounds happening out here right now, so hopefully you can hear me, but I think this is as good as I'm gonna get it as far as the stain and the scratches on the leather goes. I'm going to re-secure this little handle here because the screw is loose, and then I think I'm gonna just add some new felt pads on the feet, and then I'm gonna call it good. Changing or securing the hardware on the inside of a drawer is quite possibly the easiest project ever. You just open up the drawer and look for the screws on the inside. In this case, I'm not replacing them, I'm only tightening them so that they are straight and aligned. After all that hard work, I'm really happy with how they turned out. They're not perfect, but they'll do, and I'm ready to sell them. The last item I'm going to be sprucing up are these dining chairs. I got a set of 4 of them, and I just love the light oak finish. It's very popular right now, and they also have a very like mid-century modern silhouette to them. I actually like the fabric that the seats have right now. However, one of them looks like it's patched up, and then another one has kind of like a seam all the way down the middle. So there's also one that has some discoloration on the front. So I think it's just gonna be best to recover the seats. I actually ordered a pair of curtains on Amazon because all of the Joann fabric stores have shut down. I thought, where can I get some cheap fabric really quickly? And so I thought Amazon, using some curtain panels that are blackout or at least light filtering because they're nice and thick. I might just be able to cover right on top of this fabric without even having to take this fabric off, which would just be a nice time saver for me. And I'll probably only need to use one of these panels. I can save the other one for a future project. I'm not going to do a whole tutorial on how to recover dining chair seats. I will link my dining room makeover here in the video because I shared more details on how to do that in that video. There's probably also a million other YouTube videos where you can watch and get like a fully detailed tutorial on how to do that. But I have been spending all day working on these projects, so I kind of just want to get this done. So I'm going to pop them off, wrap them like presents, staple them on, and then put them back on, take my pictures, and list. As far as price point goes for these chairs, I feel like I'm gonna list them at least $75 or $100 each to start, because not only are they trendy, but they are in really good condition, especially if I'm gonna be putting the new seat cushions on. I can always lower my price from there. I'll probably end up getting like maybe $250 for the set, but that is still a pretty good price for a matching set of dining chairs. caught a glimpse of the original fabric on these chairs. I can't believe I didn't do this sooner, but I think they might be good. So I'm gonna take this off, see how we like it. That's pretty. Dang, I didn't even need to recover or order this fabric. This fabric actually does match the online comps that I found, so I'm bummed I didn't take off the checkered fabric ahead of time. It would have saved me money on the fabric I bought from Amazon, as well as the time that I've spent recovering these last two seats. But either way, I would have had to remove the red checkered fabric, so it's probably a wash at this point. Here's the moment of truth. See how it looks before we secure it. That looks really good. Looks good as new. So now I'm just gonna reattach all the seat cushions and then I'm gonna take my pictures and they'll be ready to sell. Once I started looking closer at the frame, I realized it could use a fresh polish. So I'm gonna use Howard's Feed and Wax to polish up some of these worn out corners. And then I'm of course gonna wipe down the rest of the frame just to make sure it's as clean as possible and looking as good as new. Now that I have all of my items listed on Facebook Marketplace, headed into the weekend, I feel great. And I will be sure to share with you in future videos if any of those items sell and for exactly how much. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video.